Welcome to the second video of the Ansan Maintenance Service website. In this video, my name is Anthony from ansan.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk about what really is the purpose of your website. Your website has got a lot of functionalities, but the core purpose is salesmanship. If your website is not selling, then the whole purpose of having a website is kind of lost. So in this video, I'm going to break down the key elements that your website should have in order for it to increase its salesmanship and convert those leads into customers. Now, the principles that I'm talking about over here are not, some magic pill or magic formula. These are kind of like key steps that can help you organize your site in such a way that if you just follow the sequence without even understanding too much of why it works, you should be able to make your website do more selling, because this is a formula that every great marketer knows about it intuitively, subconsciously, or whatever be it. Now, the sequence of steps that I'm going to tell you are not just for salesmanship, but it also brings up that engagement with your customers and clients, because the formula allows you and allows your customers to get a feel whether this website is trustworthy, whether they really want to do business with you, and most importantly, whether your website is the solution for your customers' needs. But how do you make your website sell? Is it just by showing that you have a product? Is it just because you have a fancy website? And the answer is no. And that's the reason why I came about doing this video, because I want to show you the key elements of what makes a website sell, so that when you're telling your web developer or web designer to make changes, you're better off telling them to make changes in this particular sequence, so that you have an overall understanding of why and what makes a website sell. So let's get started. The first and most critical aspect for any business, or for that matter of fact, it does not matter whether you're online, whether you're offline, or just in any business, is A. A stands for attention. Why is attention so important? Living in today's day and age with so much of with the amount of information that we're bombarded with, our brain finds it difficult even to know what to focus on. And the one that it focuses its attention on is generally attention grabbing. Now, is your website one of those attention grabbing systems or attention grabbing products such that it draws the audience to know more about it? But how do you grab attention, you might ask? What is it that entails grabbing attention? Is it, doing something magnificent? Is it having a beautiful website? Is it having something extraordinary that no one has ever seen before? And the answer is yes and no. Well, yes, you could have something that is absolutely dynamic and different, but it might grab people's attention, but it's not necessarily going to add to the overall effect of salesmanship. So how do we go about grabbing people's attention? The first way to grab anyone's attention is to focus on their pain points. If you know what is the most painful thing your customers are facing and you have a solution to that problem, because there are good chances most businesses are providing a solution to a customer's pain point. And if you know the vocabulary of what your customers are using in order for them to express the pain, the frustration, so that they need to use a service like yours, that's one way of grabbing attention, because now you're using common day-to-day language, but you're addressing the pain points of your customers. For example, in my case, I had asked you, if you look above, it's are you looking for website maintenance? Let us remove the headache away. And majority of my clients actually do get a headache just thinking about their website. So I'm just using day-to-day and everyday language so that it kind of resonates with them that, oh, this guy kind of understands our problem. How do I go about doing that? Similarly, if you're a physiotherapist, if you're a mortgage broker, if you're a real estate agent, if you're an insurance broker, there's certain elements to your business and service that addresses a specific pain point, and you can capture your audience's attention by specifying or putting that in your headline. For a mortgage broker, it could be: Are you scared? Are you scared if you do not get your mortgage because you do not fit or you do not have a high income salary? I'm here to help you out. 10 proven formulas, 8 proven formulas in which you can do these things right now, and we'll help you make sure that you can buy a house even though you fall into the low bracket category. I'm just giving an example, but you need to address a pain point. Insurance broker, if you're a life insurance, you can talk about, would you know what would happen when all is lost and your family is in absolute pain? How can you save them, right? And it's obvious that if you do not provide a solution to a pain point, you would not be in business because generally most businesses is solving a pain point. So you can grab people's attention just by focusing on the vocabulary, on the emotions that they express when they're in pain. And that's the reason why they're using your solution. So now that you grab their attention, what will be the next element in your website that can make them want to know more about what is it that you're providing? Now, if you're just providing, a simple product and service, and you just grab the attention, like, 10 broken, we have a solution to fix your real estate problems, and we can guarantee you getting, $1 million house, assuming that's something that you have a formula to do. Prove it to me that you can do it. What makes me trust you that you can do it? Because you grab my attention. Now what's the next phase? And the second element, in order to, once you grab your audience's attention, the second element is to go deeper in expressing what their problem is. So the next element that your website should have is problem definition. Now you're supposed to go a little bit more in detail to explain the problem that they possibly could have. In my case, for a website maintenance program, I would be thinking that you as a customer would have issues knowing that your site is buggy, it's slow, it needs to be optimized, it lacks security, and you're scared it could get hacked because you don't have the knowledge in order to know what you need to do in order to protect your site. Or you might be just frustrated because you're trying to make an update, move an image around, or move a video around, or just change the text, or change the banner, change the navigation, change the menu, add a form, and all these elements that you know that if you make these changes, it can make your website better, but you're frustrated to do it because you don't know how to do it, or you're scared you might break your website. And I'm addressing those pain points in my problem definition. It could be, and you can explain your problem definition using infographics or icons so that the visual elements explain to itself. But the visual element is not important. What's important is, are you describing the problem definition? Similarly, if you're an insurance broker, or if you're a physiotherapist, you can talk about, is your back pain not allowing you to be more productive, and you need to find a way in order to cure that. Because if you're a physiotherapist, health is important, and you can think about all the consequences that can help, that would probably cause more pain to the client, and then you're explaining their pain point better than they can, first and foremost, and secondly, you actually know the reason why you're able to explain their pain point better than they can is because you understand it better. You're the professional, you're the expert, and you know the solution to it. So this is what would happen once you grab their attention. You really want to describe the pain points even better, more in detail, even vividly. Talk about their frustration, talk about their headaches, talk about their anger, talk about their anguish, talk about all the pain that's wanting them to use your service. Most websites I see do not even have a place where they talk about their users' problem. And as a result, when you go onto their website, you don't even know what is it, what is their service. And you look at the best websites that's out there ranking very high, they target your information, they target their users so well that they're always going to be on top ranked, they're always going to be ranking top on every search engine. Like even if you talk about Wikipedia, it's answering the question that you had in mind better than any other website that's out there. And it's written by just the common man. But it's able to articulate that question and the answer so well. So it's describing, if you're searching for a question, it's able to answer that question better than anybody else. We're all seeking information, and you want your website to be the answer to someone's problems or someone's question. Especially if you're in that domain, you want to rank high for that particular keyword. And you can do that by describing the pain points better than anybody else, better than the customer, and using day-to-day vocabulary. Don't make it too complicated that they can't understand. You do not use technical words in problem definition. You got to use day-to-day language. The minute you start to use technical words such that only the professionals understand, but your clients are really not going to understand that. For example, if you're a physiotherapist and you talk about the inner workings of how vertebra works and your spinal cord and all the details behind the nerves and all that stuff, you're going to lose the customer, because in our day-to-day vocabulary, we don't use those things. We just basically say, I've got a back pain and I feel, I can't move. You want to talk like that. You want to explain those pain points that way. You can't move, and is that killing your productivity? So it's important when you're defining the problem, you're using day-to-day language that the common man can understand. After the problem definition, the question is, prove it to me how you're going to solve it. You explain the problem better than anybody else. Your customers are now looking at you and saying, okay, that's my problem. Now prove it to me that you can solve it. The next thing is amazing, attainable solution. How are you going to solve their problem? You want to describe the problem in the solution in such a way that if it was an ideal world, what would your solution be like? What would be the outcome of the solution? So you might want to talk about, if you use our service, the way we solve our problem is we solve your problem by looking at it we try to introspect the problem, and we guarantee you that you won't have a headache again, you won't have a back pain again. You would never have to worry about your family if you're an insurance broker. You would never have to worry of your mortgage, because you would never have to worry whether you can pay your mortgage, because the way we do it is first we analyze this, and then once we analyze this, we're able to tell you why this works, and this is a proven formula, it's legal, this is how everybody intends you to do it, and we'll help you and we'll guide you, because a lot of this documentation is not easily understandable by many, and we are a professional who can help you out. So I'm just giving an example of how you can prove that your solution really addresses their pain point better than anybody else. For example, in my case, or in Ansen's maintenance service case, we explain to you how, if you just use our service in terms of fixing those problems, you don't have to worry about the technical problems. Don't worry about the technical problems. We'll take care of it. That's our expertise. If you do not know how to move that image, don't worry. We'll fix it. We know how to fix it. You don't need to know how to fix it, because we can. My job is to provide that comfort that someone can take care of it so that they don't have the headache. And the real outcome after using a service like this is making sure that they're not in agony. They're not frustrated. They're not angry. They don't feel helpless. And my job is to make sure that my website is communicating the outcome. Similarly, is your website communicating that outcome? For a physiotherapist, it could be, if you use our solution, you can walk freely from now onwards. And the reason why we can do that, this will be the solution that you would have an absolutely productive day, better than even better than most of the people who are fit. Because these exercises that we provide will absolutely make you feel so much more confident. You'll be able to be more attractive, and you can go on and on, providing that the solution you're providing meets those standards. But the best way to look at it, how you're going to provide that solution, is look at the ideal situation of what would happen if everything was perfect. And then try to make sure that, first and foremost, try to make sure that your service meets those standards. And you also want to write in such a way and communicate such that your standards of your solution is meeting those standards. And eventually, you bridge the gap so that if it's too unrealistic, then perhaps you don't want to talk about it. But you get the idea. For example, the best thing that you can talk if you're in the healthcare sector is like, yeah, you're going to live forever. That would be the ideal solution because you'll never have any disease ever. But that's never going to be a realistic case. So you want to dumb it down and communicate how your service can help you live a better life, a better lifestyle, better ecosystem. You'll be looking more healthy. You'll be looking more attractive. You'll be able to make more friends, and so on and so forth. But you want to provide that solution in such a way that it captures something that is almost ideal, but not ideal, provided you can meet those standards. It's not about scamming anybody. If you are, this is not what I'm explaining over here. What I'm trying to explain is you want to communicate that your solution is very close for your clients to feel the way they would like to feel when they use their service, and you want to explain that in day-to-day in common language. That's what amazing attainable solution is. Now that we've got amazing attainable solution, the next question is, all right, you said you grabbed my attention, you have understood my problem better than anybody else. I believe you have the solution. The next question is, I still don't trust you. I still don't believe that what you're saying is true. Something is missing. And if you do not communicate this particular element in your website, on your website, you're not building that trust. And if you're not building that trust, you're going to lose your customer. This is important because it needs to be communicated. Your proof and credibility. All right, you got the ideal solution. You know how to solve all my problems. You seem to be a magician. You seem to be God right now. Prove it to me that what you're saying is absolutely true. What is your credibility that what you're claiming is true? Now, how do you provide and communicate that proof and credibility to your clients? There are multiple ways of doing that, and you can use all possible ways to communicate that, but I'm going to give you an example. Number one could be client testimonials. Now, if you have actually provided solutions to your clients, existing clients, get their testimonial if they're satisfied. You do not want to get testimonials from unsatisfied customers. It wouldn't make any sense. Get testimonials from satisfied customers, telling them if they would be happy to provide a testimonial. Number two, another way of increasing your credibility would be to show your awards and your accomplishments. What is your award? What is your accomplishment? Why do I need to believe you that you can do my job, that you can solve my problem? There is that element of credibility that is there as a business owner that you have that your clients don't have. Like in my case, or in the AdSense case, I personally am a software engineer. I've done my master's in electrical and computer engineering. I've worked in software for more than the last 10-15 years. I've programmed in and outs from routers all the way from hardcore technical mission critical systems all the way up to websites and databases and everything in between. And having that in-depth amount of knowledge and experience allows me to solve problems, and most importantly allows me to look through problems that, if you do not have that experience, can be a nightmare, because you wouldn't even understand what the software is, what's happening under the hood. But for me, it's more like reading a manual, and rather anybody in the AdSense team would be able to just read it like just a normal book, because software is in the culture. That's what I'm providing. That's what AdSense is providing for a solution, because you may not have that expertise as a customer, but we have that, because that's my credibility. That's our credibility. That's the proof we can look through your software, fix the problems, because 90%, 100% of your website problems are software. Design is good through making it visual, but to make your website functional, if it needs to be functional, it's software that makes it functional. It's not design. Design you can do through Photoshop, you can just put it on a piece of paper and it looks beautiful. But for it to have interactivity, for it to be functioning, it's all boils down to software. That's our proof and credibility that we can solve your problems, because we look at it from a software perspective. We look through the interface, we look through all the clutter and all the beautiful things that seems appealing, and we get down and we boil it down right to where only machines and software people can understand. A common person would think it's gibberish, but for us it's just another language. That's the proof and credibility that Ansan provides. But what is your proof and credibility if you're a real estate agent, if you're a physiotherapist, if you're a lawyer? What is your proof that you can solve their problem? Now you might, as I said, you can talk about client testimonials, you can talk about your credibility and awards. You can also have a frequently asked questions section in your website which explains all the different possible scenarios and problems that your customers could probably have. And you're answering it in a way that builds up that comfort. Oh, okay, they understand my problem and they have a solution to it. So you want to make sure that your website has a part where it's proving and communicating that proof and credibility. There are other ways to do it as well. Client testimony. I mentioned about client testimony. I talked about your awards and accomplishments. I've talked about FAQ. Another way of bringing your proof and credibility is through reviews. You can go online and ask your customers to give you reviews on Google, Yelp, Bing, so that the community of even Facebook and so that the community can see that people are rating you high. It's a form of testimonial, but it's a little bit different in that people are just rating you and giving you high reviews because they believe your service is really fantastic. The last 2 points really makes the difference between what makes a website sell and what makes a website just looks great but it's not doing any selling. Recency and proximity. Now, I'm going to explain to you what recency and proximity is first, and then I'm going to tell you where in your web page you could probably have this particular concept. Recency is how often are you updating your website. Now, the good chances if you saw a website that was made in 2000 or 20 years ago, the good chances that you're not going to trust it anymore. You won't even believe that the business exists because it's old, it's outdated. And knowing that in today's day and age, everything just changes so quickly, the last thing you want is your website to be outdated and your customers thinking, does this website even exist? And they have that doubt. You can eliminate that doubt by making sure that the information on your website is constantly improved, is constantly updated. Change the banner image, change the heading image, update the text, update the copywriting, update the elements that even though they're working, you can constantly update, you can constantly add new elements and dimensions to your website. You can improve the problem definition, you can improve the amazing attainable solution, you can improve your proof and credibility, but constantly keep adding elements. You can even write content like blogs. But there's got to be some form of update on a consistent basis. It's more like a heartbeat to your website. It's telling you that this company is alive online. It's constantly online alive. Think about all the companies that you do business with online. How often do they update their website? You'll be amazed that most of the companies that you use online are constantly updating their website. Be it the Facebooks, be it the Googles, be it the Amazons, be it your social media. Updating information is not about just things in the front end. It's also the back end, the algorithms behind it. Now, most of your services may not necessarily need to have that level of technical complexity. So if you do not have that technical complexity where it requires really complex technical solutions in order to provide a great solution to your customers, if it's not one of those technical problems, then your job is to make sure at least the front end is constantly updated. If it's a technical website, then you should be focusing on improving on the technicalities of your website as often as not, making sure the usability is improved, making sure the user experience is improved, and you can do that in and out, and it's a combination of both. But constant update really puts you in the game, puts you ahead, because you're taking your game so seriously. And this is why website maintenance is so important, because you're building up that trust element. It's really a trust element in a customer trying to buy something from you, trying to make that sale. You really want to capture that trust element. Proximity. Now, if you're doing a business only locally, why would you want to market your business to someone in North Pole or in Antarctica? Just giving an example. You want to target your business within a particular proximity. Explain that. Where is your target audience? Tell them that we serve so and so. We serve within the area of Richmond. We serve within the area of Vancouver. We serve within the area of wherever your location is. Mention that. Talk about the currency that you accept, because that really builds up that trust. We all know by just looking at the currency of what a portal accepts, that you get a good understanding whether you want to do business with this company or not. And that is important. You can talk about your cost. There's certain elements that builds up the proximity. You can talk about the cost, the currency, your location, your target audience. You might even want to specify how you have helped a community, you have helped your charity, your organizations within that area. But proximity is critical, making sure that you are communicating with your closest customers on a day-to-day basis, with closest customers, and making sure the information is updated. And they both kind of go hand in hand. It's more like proximity and recency. If you update your website, you want to tell your customers about the new promotion, about a new idea, about a new concept. Keep them in the loop. Keep your closest customers in the loop and constantly update them. And update your website, keep them in the loop, then they'll give you feedback. That's building up that trust. At the end of the day, your job is, and sales is nothing but if you don't capture the trust element, your website is not going to sell. It is sales, and sales is nothing but trust. And you can build trust by making sure that you're constantly updating your website and you're informing your closest customers about it. And last but not the least, you grab their attention. You've defined their problems. You've spoken about the solution. You've proved it to them and showing that you're a credible source for doing business with them. You build up the trust and put them in the loop. You're constantly updating your site. You're constantly keeping your existing customers in the loop. But without this key element, you don't have a business. And that is call to action. What is their call to action when they come to your website? You don't want someone to just come to your website, just scroll around and then realize, they don't know what to do next. Make sure there's a call to action. And the call to action could be as simple as, subscribe, put in your name and email, or it could be in a form of accepting some form of payment. But call to action, make them do something on your website. Make them learn something on your website. Make them engage in your website. Get the interaction so that you understand whether your web page is actually performing or not. Because now you can see some interaction, you're seeing something that gives them an opportunity to do business with you. If you do not have a call to action and you're just call me, that's not call to action. Call me is not a call to action. Call me is just information that if they need something, then they can do that. A call to action is forcing, it's not forcing, but having a more prominent way of measuring the call to action, a prominent way of measuring the engagement. Now, a phone call definitely is a form of call to action, don't get me wrong, but it's not compelling enough for them to actually call you. It's easier for you to capture simple information like name and email address and giving them 10 different formulas of solving a problem. Whereas in my case, since it's an e-commerce portal, my job is to make sure that I'm converting potential clients into customers. So I have a payment checkout, choose the plan, and if you choose the plan, we'll take you to the billing section. So that's a form of an action that is there on this page. It's a sequence of steps. So you want to make sure that your website has some form of call to action so that you're building up some engagement with your users. Let's walk through this once again, and I'm going to just review what we've just spoken because this information is so overwhelming, but at the same time, it really can make the difference between your website selling and your website just being static and not really doing anything. Let's go through it once again. Number one thing, in order for your website to even be amongst all the noise and get through all the commotion and right into your audience's face, your target market's face, you need to have something that grabs their attention. Have a strong, powerful headline. The second thing that you need to have is describe the problem. Describe the problem. Third, have a solution. Do you have a solution? As I already given you examples earlier, but another example that I had a client just the other day, and they were asking me, I have a website and my YouTube video is down, and I want to do my whole website all over again. And I looked at them and I said, I've looked at your website and you don't need to revamp your whole website. I think that's a bad idea. All you need to do is take your YouTube video and bring it on top and then measure the performance. Just that solution alone, he or she was, oh my God, that's what I need to do in order to improve sales. And that's what you want to communicate. You want to make sure that you have the solution and explaining it to them in the most ideal, in a common day-to-day language. Now, if I had to speak to them, you need to go behind the software and do this to the software and that to the software so that you can move this image from there and copy paste, it's just going to be too overwhelming. Those technical jargons are not meant for your customers to know. They need to know the end solution of what you're providing. Move something from here to there is what everybody understands. How it's done is your job. They don't need to know how it's done. So that's a combination of your problem definition, site is not good, not generating sales, and a solution would be, hey, why don't you do this? How we do it is not part of this equation. Prove it to them, and then the next question is prove it in credibility. Prove it to them that you are a credible source of solving this problem. Have that credible information. Make sure that you have client testimonials. You got a call to action. You got an FAQ. You got a review system. You got something in there that proves it to them that you can solve the problem. And then you got recency and proximity, which really helps in building up trust. This is the most important factor if your website is not selling. If it's not building up trust, you're not selling. So you want to make sure that your trust is you're building up that trust parameter every single day. Whatever you can to build up that trust, do it. Don't slack when it comes to building trust. If you're dealing with another human being, that's what a business is nothing but dealing with from one human being to another human being, providing supply and demand. That supply and demand can be strengthened by just increasing the trust value on your website. Do that. Trust is so important in order to generate sales. Once you build up that trust, call to action, make them do something. Either get some information from them, capture that information. A call to action is literally capturing some information, be it in their name, their email address, their telephone number, making them actually purchase a product. Make sure you're capturing the call to action. This is basically how you can make your website sell. It's communicating, it's got the right ingredients to communicate to its audience that we want you to do business with us because you can trust us. We have the elements that can prove it to your audience that this is a trustworthy website. And that's how you boost up that salesmanship in your website, because what is your website at the end of the day? Your website is supposed to sell. And if it's not selling, the purpose of a website is kind of lost. So just by following this formula, you can tell your developer, you can tell your website maintenance guy, you can even understand what changes you need to make for your website so that it boosts up that trust factor and eventually becomes more of a salesperson, because at the end of the day, your website is nothing but salesmanship multiplied. Remember that, it's salesmanship multiplied. And if it's a zero in any one of this, zero into sales, zero into anything, is just going to be zero. This gives you that element of providing sales to your customer. Thank you.